And welcome back to Flight Sim 2020, and as you can probably already see, today's video we are in the brand new Airbus H160 from Hyper Performance Group. This is just recently released. I'm sure if you're interested in the H160, you've probably seen some of the videos and streams from people that got early access, but this came out yesterday, and so I'm gonna jump in for the first time. I've done one short little test flight to just make sure that everything was working, that my joystick and everything was set up correctly, and that's it. So we're gonna be jumping in for the first time, and we're gonna do some sunset charter flights here around Johannesburg, South Africa. So we're parked on the helipad here at Ultimate Heliport, which is in Midrand, fairly close to Grand Central Airport in South Africa. And this is a freeware scenery mod that you can pick up from flightsim.to. I'll put a link in the description as well if you want to pick it up. But that's the plan for today. We're just going to do some simple charter flights around Johannesburg. So we're starting at we're starting at Ultimate Heliport, and we're going up to OR Tambo International, and then from there we're carrying on south to Rand, and then I think after Rand, if I remember correctly, it's back to Johannesburg and then out to Lanseria. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously the sun is setting as well, so we might go into some a bit of flying, probably not nighttime flying, but it'll definitely be dusk. But yeah, let's jump into the helicopter and take a look. Obviously at the moment there aren't any checklists or procedures that come with the aircraft. So you can see if you open up the documents, it still points to the 145, but I'm pretty sure that'll be updated fairly soon. But all that means is I'm going to try and do things in a way that makes sense, but I'm probably not going to be doing everything 100% correctly. Okay, but let's get our batteries on, turn the generators on while we're up here. Okay, just turn some of FS Realistic's ambience down because that's quite loud. Alright, FMS 1 and 2 and RA 1 and 2 we can turn on. Okay, that looks good. If we come down here, power up test, okay. Okay, download is in progress. We can get some lights on, so we'll arm the emergency lights. Passenger signs are on. We can put the reading and ambient light on for them. We'll put our anti-collision and position lights on, weather radar to standby. I don't actually know what this thing is. You can switch it on and off at the moment. That's all it seems to do for now. I wonder if some sort of functionality is going to be added to that later on. But yeah, if you know what that actually is meant to do in reality, let me know in the comments below. Right, then the other thing we'll do is... Okay, download is complete. Just make sure that all the autopilots are on. We can actually probably do that after we've started the engines. Okay, but now because it's getting dark, I want some cockpit lighting. So that doesn't seem to do anything, does it? Not really. Maybe it's because we're on the batteries. Oh, the floodlights just came on. Jeez, I was like, what on earth just happened there? Right, let's get the engine started up. So we'll pop engine 2 into idle. And then maybe when we kick onto the generators, we'll be able to turn on some more lights. Okay, I should set the parking brake as well so we don't go anywhere. Yes, that's engine 1 idling. We'll do the same for engine 2. Let's see, so turn this on. I wonder if it's always green like that. I mean, that works, we can see. Not a huge fan of the green. Like, the way I thought it would work was that the green would be for NVG Anyway, at least we've got some lights. Right, we'll give engine 2 some time to stabilize. Okay, now that the engines are stable, let's pop both of them into the flight position. And then we're just waiting for those idle flags to disappear. Right, then we are good to go. So what we're going to do here is we will use the new automatic takeoff. The other thing I just want to do is turn on. So for some reason my landing light switch isn't working. I need to go and check why. I quite like this light, it's kind of cool. So I'm going to turn the landing lights on through the tablet here. Also turns on the search light, but that's fine. Yeah, for some reason my switch of my HOTAS isn't doing the landing lights, but that's probably just I need to go and adjust the binding for that. Okay, so we're going to do a rearward takeoff. So what we need to do is select rearward takeoff. From there, our decision height is set to 200, so that's cool. Parking brake is engaged, but if you see, the rearward takeoff is yellow, which means it's not actually on. That needs to turn blue. And then you know that it's actually going to work. And currently the reason why it's not blue is because we need to turn NR high on. It's now turned blue, and that means it's armed. So now we can lift off, engage the auto hover, hit the go around button, and that will do the automatic rearward departure. Okay, so we'll just check clear left and clear right. So let's get ourselves in the hover here. Okay, and we'll hit the go around button to bring us up and backwards. Now, what you can do is once you're at a safe altitude, hit the go around button again. The aircraft will then fly forwards for 15 seconds in the go around mode, and then switch over to autopilot. And I think it's altitude hold and heading hold. But we don't want to do that because we don't actually want to go forwards. So here at Ultimate Heli, the departures go out that way. So all I'm going to do is disengage the hover mode, and that will take us out of our automatic takeoff. And we're probably fine here already at 100 feet. Okay, so let's just disengage the auto hover, and that takes us out of that auto takeoff mode. And then we can simply take manual control and turn ourselves here out to the left-hand side, and we will depart towards Johannesburg International, so Aerosoft International Airport, which is our first stop. And from there we then head a little bit further south to Rand. So definitely a bit of weather out on the horizon. I don't think that's going to be a factor for us for a while. Bring the gear up now as we're over 60 knots. But yeah, definitely, I know there was a lot of rain down in Durban today, so it looks like that weather is making its way up here towards Johannesburg. Okay, let's just sort of flip this over to our map. I do actually have a mission loaded. So obviously the action pack for the H160 is not out yet. It is coming at some point. But you can still do the basic passenger transport missions. So maybe I'll show that off just now as well. It's fairly simple. It's the same concept as the H145. It's just that at the moment in the 160, it's just the simple passenger transport from helipad to airport or helipad to helipad. You don't have the rescue missions or the firefighting or anything like that just yet. But it is coming, and that's going to be super cool when we do have that. Okay, those bright lights up ahead are the runways for our Tambo, so we're pretty close already. A beautiful evening here in Johannesburg. Sun is already going down. Obviously this helicopter is fully IFR capable and all of that cool stuff, so no stress in bad weather, obviously within limitations, but flying in bad weather, flying at night, no problem for the 160. Yes, there's actually a couple of places that are Tambo that have helipads. One is all the way down this side, right at the end, so kind of as far north as you can go, past the cargo terminals. Basically at the end of that would be 2-1 right. There's a bunch of helipads out there. And there's one random one on the other side near SAA Technical. That's the one we're going to go to. And then there's also a couple of helipads at the Denell hangars, which are all the way on that side, past 2-1 left. We're going to go kind of along the taxiway here, past all the cargo aprons, and then past the main terminal. And we'll stop off at the helipad just in front of SAA Technical. So there, it's kind of where that green patch is, though there's helipads other side that, but in that kind of area. We're coming up to the main terminal here. So there's helipads down on the end down there. But we are going to the right here.
Caution, terrain.
Okay, as we're slowing down, we're looking for that 60 knots again, and then we'll put down the gear. I don't know if that's an official thing. That's just how I've been doing it. And it seems to work just fine. What I've noticed is, I believe it's below 60 knots, and if your gear isn't down, you start getting a warning like that, because the gear is still going down. The gear actually takes quite a while to go down in this helicopter, which is interesting. There we've got 3 greens. So I've been raising it and lowering it at 60 knots, which seems to work. Of course, once we get the official manuals and all of that, I will go through that in some more detail, and we can learn the rail procedures that we should be using for the helicopter. Yeah, I'm just going to disengage the parking brake so that we can roll if we need to. So just in between these 2 buildings, that little fence around it, there's the helipad. You can just see to the right of our taxiway here, and it's in this little like boxed off area with this fence, so we just need to be careful, of course, that we don't clip particularly the tail rotor. Of course, this aircraft with the Fenestron is a bit less prone to hitting. Obviously we can still hit things, but it's not gonna do damage to the actual blades as easy as it would with an aircraft with an exposed tail rotor. Okay, we can settle down nice and gently over here. Yeah, now that it's starting to get dark, I can show you that cool purple light here on the tail rotor, which is quite sick. It's a very interesting looking aircraft. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the long nose. Obviously, it's there for a reason. But a very, very cool looking aircraft. Right, okay, well, the purpose for today's flight is to just get in some takeoffs and landings mostly. Cruising around with the autopilot on is nice and simple. It's particularly the landings that we need to practice, so we're not going to hang around super long here at Johannesburg. We're going to pop over to Rand, taking a few passengers with us, and then we'll be coming back. And then I think what we're actually going to do... Well, let me take off and then I'll talk about that now. So, let's see if we can get this right. I want to actually turn around in this box. Try as much as possible not to drift around so that we don't hit any of this fence. Yeah, I feel like that was fairly successful. Okay, and then we're going to go out this way because we're going to the south. Okay, it's 50 knots and 60. We'll bring the gear up. Okay, so we've just departed from OR Tambo over there, and we are going to Rand Airport, which is there somewhere. In fact, we need to go right a little bit. It's actually kind of out more in front of us now. I'm not seeing it on the map here for some reason. We'll see it when we get there. Let's, in fact, maybe what we can do is head towards the Joburg CBD. Do a bit of a overflight of the CBD in the nice evening go. And then we'll turn out and head towards Rand. Okay, but what I said, or what I was going to say is, I think what we're going to do is we'll drop off our passengers at Rand, pick up the ones that are coming back to Joburg, head back to OR Tambo, and maybe we can land at one of the other helipads. We'll go across to the Denell side, all the way on the opposite side of the airport from where we were this time. And then we're going to pick up some passengers and we're going to do a nice longer flight out to Pilanesberg Airport. I wonder how long is that flight is. Probably half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. So we'll do a bit of a cruise in the H160 and see how that goes. I can give you guys a bit of a time lapse and we'll land at Pilanesberg. Those blue lights over there, that's Rand Airport. I'll give our passengers a little bit of a sightseeing opportunity over here, over the city, because that's where we're going. But we'll head out this way first. This aircraft is actually really nice and quiet. Like if you look, it's got a very interesting design of the rotor blades. And just as I do that, or just as I say that, we start getting the blade slap, which is the loud part. But you're just cruising along like this. It's actually nice and quiet. Ponte Tower over there. And that stadium, the far one, that's Emirates Airline Park, I think it's called now. It used to be Ellis Park, if I remember correctly. Been there once. Then it was called Ellis Park. That's probably 10-15 years ago. There's the Johannesburg CBD. Those colors over there, I think that's the Nelson Mandela Bridge actually. Is that what's lit up there? I think that's that one. That's what it is. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, this tall building here in front of us is SABC. And that little spire behind it is the Centec radio tower, and we're going to turn around here and make our way back now towards Rand Airport. This big dark section over here is all railways. So there's like where a lot of the trains are stored, and where they do some of the switching on the railways, and that's what that big gap is. I don't know if the Nelson Mandela Bridge is purple and yellow and green in real life. Johannesburg CBD, and then we can see the runway lights for Rand just off to our right. And the helipads here at Rand are kind of on this side. So probably just come in and follow the runway and then break off to the left. And choose one of the available pads. Oh, the moonlight reflecting off that dam is pretty cool. Also, I'm very high. Just be careful here not to let our speed drop too low when we're descending quickly. Okay, I'll actually just line up with the taxiway here is probably fine. I think the helipads are over there. Okay, I can bring the gear down. Take the parking brake off. Oh, there's actually a helipad straight in front of us. A yellow box, and there's some more on that side to the left. Now we can take that one right there on the edge. That's perfect. Well, actually, that one's quite small. Let's take this one to our left. That looks a decent size. Right, there we are at Rand. We'll set the parking brake. Let's check these passengers out and get the next ones. Okay, nice and easy, just going straight back to Johannesburg. And there, let's see, because I am flying on FS economy at the moment. Let's see, we do have 7 passengers going to Pilanesberg. So that's what we'll do next. And while we're making our way out to Johannesburg, I will program that into the GPS. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'll do a separate video where we do some flights using the mission system. But we can actually just go ahead already and take off. No need for automatic takeoff or anything here. We've got loads of space here at the airport. Okay, all looks good. Okay, I can bring the gear up. And some high-level clouds coming in there, but those thick, kind of angry-looking clouds that were there when we left Grand Central or Ultimate Hilly, don't see them anymore. Maybe it's just because of the lighting. And some little fluffy clouds, not going to cause us any problems. Okay, we can already see the runways at our Tambo up ahead. Right, let's come down here. Obviously the automatic trim will keep us flying the way we are. Cool, how do I clear this? Like that. Right, so we're going to be going from FAOR to FAPN. And we'll go via the... Actually, no, let's not do Lanceria. We'll do the visual route down past Waterkloof so we can fly that totally visually. So that's cool. Right, there we go. It's already set. There's our Tambo. So what I did say is we would go to the Denell hangars on the other side. So let's keep to this side of the runway, and then we'll cross over both runways, and those lights over there is where those hangars are. That's where we're going to go. We'll cross at 7,000, which is cool. Obviously, in reality, we would need to contact the Johannesburg tower and get permission to cross the airport. Starting to get a bit hazy, it feels like. Not cloudy, it's just a little hazy. And Joburg is always pretty hazy, to be fair. Particularly early morning and early evening. Okay, the whole 7,000 thing actually isn't going to work, because that would be if we were just transitioning across completely. But we need to be lower than that when we get to the other side, because we're going to have to land. So we will start bringing the altitude down. Okay, let's get the gear down. And right on the end there is the helipad.
Caution, terrain. Decision pipe.
There's a whole string of helipads here. Okay, and there we are, arrived at, or back at Johannesburg Tambo International. So let's go and do our nice long cruise flight out to Pilanesberg. So we've got 2 hours 40 minutes of fuel on board, which is plenty. We might end up refueling at Pilanesberg. That's cool. So we're actually gonna, once again, we'll take off here and transition straight over the airport, and we're actually just the other side Johannesburg. We're going to pick up the highway that takes us to Pretoria and follow that and kind of keep on the visual route which takes us past, so in between the two airfield spaces, Swartkorps and Waterkloof, and then we'll turn left over Pretoria to go out over the Hartbeespoort Dam. So our direct route is actually taking us straight ahead from where we are now. It's going to take us through Lanceria's airspace. So we want to head out that way for a bit, over Hartbeespoort Dam, and then we can head direct from there out to Pilanesberg. So those runway lights out there is Grand Central, I think. Yeah, and now we need to go to 7,500 feet. Okay, so the plan is we're going to pick up this highway over here, follow that out to Pretoria, and then out this way to Hartbeespoort. So we're dodging the Lanseria airspace, which is up ahead of us. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do now, because this is going to be a fairly long cruise out to Pilanesberg, is we'll do a bit of a time lapse, and then I will join you guys again in real time when we are on approach into Pilanesberg. Alright, so I'm back. We are nowhere near Pilanesberg because I made a pretty rookie error, which some of you may have even noticed when I made it. So if we come down here, you can see our fuel state says low, 31 minutes remaining. We have 24 minutes to get to Pilanesberg. That's only 7 minutes kind of reserve fuel to play with, which is a little bit too risky. So the mistake I made was reading that number when we were sitting on the ground with our engines essentially in idle. So our fuel flow was super low, and so that time remaining in fuel was greatly exaggerated. So we are not going to be going to Pilanesberg tonight in this video. We are going to divert to Lanseria, which is over there. But what we'll do is I'm going to turn there over Hartbeespoort Dam, which is up ahead. We're descending to 6,500 feet. We'll do a bit of a turn over the dam so we can take a look at that, and then we will go and land at Lanseria, and that's going to be it for today's flight, or this evening's flight. Yeah, so I should have looked at that fuel in more detail. So you can see at the moment we're using about 300 kgs per hour, about 151 kgs on board, which means we've got pretty much half an hour and just over 20 minutes to get to Pilanesberg. That is a little too risky. That's cutting it too fine. And Lanseria is nice and close at least, so we can divert now. At least we figured that out fairly early, because if we'd gone past the dam, there's less kind of options to land at. before Pilanesberg, maybe Rustenburg. It's a little bit out of the way. There's some small like airfields out there that do parasailing and microlight flights and stuff like that. So, I mean, we wouldn't have really been in danger. It just meant we would have been landing at some random little place where in reality may not be able to get the fuel that we need in the quantity that we need, but Lanseria will be a perfect option for us to go and land at. So this is Hartbeespoort Dam. So we'll come out here and then just make a simple turn to our left. And then make our approach to Lanseria. Alright, so as we make our way into Lanseria, let's just, well, I'll just give my thoughts on the H160. First of all, you know, massive props to Hype once again. Fantastic product. So far I haven't found any bugs or any glitches or anything weird. Obviously they're going to keep updating it as they go, as they have been doing with the 145 the entire time. It'll be cool when we get that documentation built in. We know that the action pack is coming, so that we'll be able to do more missions, more search and rescue, fire, I suppose. I don't know if this is actually used for firefighting, but we'll get the action pack for this eventually. One thing I will say is, which can be both a positive and a negative thing actually, is it's very, very similar to the 145, which is a positive in that if you fly the 145, you can jump into this and you'll be right at home very, very quickly, which is cool. It means there's not a lot of adapting to do. You'll understand how the systems work, and it'll be, you know, it's fairly similar to fly in terms of a lot of the systems. If you understand the autopilot in the H145, you'll be okay here. And all of that. The only downside to that is, you know, maybe if you're looking to save some money, or you don't have all that much money to spend on add-ons for flight sim, maybe if you already own the 145, it's maybe not worth picking this up as well, because right now I could be flying either. They feel very similar in the simulator. I'm sure in real life they probably feel quite different. But I do still feel that if you are willing to pick up this aircraft, it is definitely worth it, because it does offer some things that the 145 doesn't offer. So for one, this aircraft has wheels instead of skids, which doesn't seem like a big difference, but it is a difference. You've got the automatic takeoff modes, which is kind of cool. It is obviously bigger and faster, so it does have a slightly different feel. But yeah, that's probably the only thing I could say, is that it is kind of similar to the 145. But again, fantastic job by the guys at Hype. Very, very impressed, as always. And looking forward to seeing the action pack and what comes next for the 160. I'm going to be adding this helicopter as soon as I can to my fleet in Neofly. So that'll be coming to the Neofly series as soon as I can afford one. I did have a look at Neofly, and these were going for, I think it was about between 12 and 18 million. So I'm going to need a little bit of cash for Salt Air before we can pick up one of these. But this will be really cool to fly around there in Durban. So if you've been watching the Neofly series, I started off flying the 125, and then picked up a 222, and then we had some really bad weather around the Durban area where the airline is based, which meant I wasn't able to actually operate the helicopters. But the IFR capabilities and the autopilot in this helicopter will mean we can actually operate in some of the bad weather that I couldn't in the smaller aircraft. So that'll be kind of cool, and I'll definitely be looking to add this to the fleet for our Neofly series. Now, in the X-plane scenery, there's a helipad like here somewhere, but obviously I see there isn't one in this scenery. This is payware scenery for flight sim, and again, if you ever want to know which sceneries I'm using, all of that is listed down in the description below. So let's just kind of go in here to the apron, and we'll just park it up over here. Fuel remaining, we've still got 21 minutes, so we are fine in terms of fuel, but we will obviously have to fuel up here at Lanseria before we head out to Pilanesberg or back to Johannesburg, or whatever I decide to do in the next flight with the 160. Okay, not the best landing probably the worst landing of this evening. But let's go ahead and shut down. So we'll put the engines into idle quickly. I don't know in reality if you can go straight from idle to off. Like, I would imagine there is the possibility that it has like a bit of a cooldown period where you go into idle and wait a little bit. Let's turn off our Fenestron safety light. The rest can stay on for now, and just so we don't have to wait so long, we'll put the engines into off and let those shut down. And switch off the generators so long because they're obviously not doing anything with the engines off. All of that can switch off, which turns those guys off there. We didn't even use the weather radar because we didn't need to. Emergency lights disarmed, passenger sides off, other lights off. We'll actually leave that on max. Just flip that over today when we're done. Oh, we've got a light on the apron here so we can still see what's going on. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the shape of those blades. Very, very interesting, but apparently helps to reduce the noise that the aircraft produces. Right, let's switch off the rest of our lights. Like so. And then last thing we have to do is switch off the batteries. Okay, but there we are, parked up at an airport that was actually not part of the plan to fly to in this flight. But of course, that's what happens. We pay attention to the fuel and realize before it becomes an issue that we are not going to make it to where we're going. But in any case, again, just a fantastic add-on. And look forward to flying this more. Down in the comments, let me know, do you have the H160? Are you planning on getting the H160? What do you think of the aircraft if you do have it? If you've watched videos like this about it, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video, you know what to do, and I'll see you in the next one.